Okay, so this is an example of Fermi estimation with the Wells Hall Starbucks. So the thing is, you're going in for a job interview at the Starbucks here in Wells. I had a student last semester that worked in there, and you want to make a little extra money between classes. That's great. So you go in for your interview, and first they ask you about coffee. You're like, yeah, I love coffee. That's why I went to Starbucks. They're like, that's great. What's a mocha, what's a cappuccino, what's an espresso, and all that nonsense. And you answer all those questions, of course, because you like coffee. And then they say, okay, well, if you're going to be a top flight barista, you need to be able to make some nice latte art. And you're like, oh, I can make some nice latte art. So you get your mug of coffee, it's pretty hot, and in your mug, you make a tree. And they're like, wow, that's great. I haven't seen somebody that can make a tree in my latte art in quite a while. I mean, you're amazing. So that's good that your interview seems to be going pretty well so far. That's when the boss hits you with the biggest question that there is about Starbucks, which is the income. So how much money does this Starbucks make in a week? And you're like, oh, I don't know the answer to that question. But fortunately, your Math 101 estimation skills are going to help you out here. So we're going to estimate together how much money the Starbucks takes in a given week so that you can answer this question and get the job. All right. So what are some things we're going to need to know? Well, first, we're going to need to know, well, let's see. We want to know money. So there's money involved at Starbucks, and who is getting Starbucks money? Well, the customers are. So how much money does each customer spend? Okay, money per customer. Great. Okay, so we need to know how much money each customer spends. Then let's see. So we know how much money each customer spends. Then how many customers are there? Okay, so that's a great question. How many customers are there in a week? Well, I'm just going to say that that's a bit hard to estimate just offhand how many customers there are in a week. So to make it more reasonable, we'll go for customers. Well, what's something we can estimate, maybe get a better estimation for? Customers per day still seems like, it'd be a pretty hard to estimate, but maybe customers per hour will be easier. So we'll estimate customers per hour. All right. And then lastly, so how many hours are they open per week? All right, so these are the three estimations that we need. If we know how much money each customer spends and how many customers they have in an hour and how many hours there are in a week, then by multiplying all that together, we'll get money per week, which is exactly what we want. Okay, so we're going to estimate these. You might say, I'm not really even sure how to estimate this because, well, some customers spend a lot of money and some a little bit, and I don't really know how many hours they are open. So we're going to use orders of magnitude estimation, just like we've been doing last week in class. So let's see. Does the average customer spend 10 cents, $1, or $10? And let's just try to draw some dollar signs here so that you can see that these are, in fact, supposed to be dollars. All right. So let's see. Well, everything at Starbucks is more than 10 cents. And in fact, everything at Starbucks is more than $1. But I would find it unlikely that the average customer is spending $10 when they go in. I mean, they're buying multiple specialty drinks or a specialty drink and a bagel or something like that. I mean, yeah, it seems a bit of a stretch to say $10, but $1 is definitely an underestimation. In this case, when you're directly between, say, $1 and $10, and you know that $1 is not enough and $10 is too much, it's okay to take something in between. So we will go ahead and estimate $5 per customer. Okay. Nice. All right, now how many customers are there in an hour? Again, we're going to break it up. Are there 1 customers per hour, 10 customers per hour, 100 customers per hour, or 1,000 customers per hour? Right. 1,000 has 3 zeros. Okay, so again, you know there's more than one. You know there's more than 10. I mean, you see more than 10 people every time you walk by. And 1,000 is just too many, right? If I were to break up 1,000 customers per hour by minute, I would still get, that would be 16 per minute, which is a little bit silly. So we'll just get rid of that. It's not 16 per minute, so it's not going to be 1,000. Okay, so I'm left really with just 100, and 100 seems reasonable enough to me, so I'll go for it. Okay, so now how many hours are they open per week? Well, I know that they're open 5 days a week. Okay, and so how many hours per day? Well, are they open 1 hour per day, 10 hours per day, or 100 hours per day? Yeah, you're right. They're not open 100 hours per day. Very good. And they're definitely open more than 1 hour per day. So 10, again, I don't know. It could be open 12, it could be open 8, but 10 seems reasonable, so we'll go with 10. Okay, so now we have all the pieces of information that we need. Let's just multiply them together. Cross my T, even. Okay, so we're going to go with 5 times 100 times 10 for 10 per day times 5 for 5 days a week. So $5 from 100 customers per hour for 10 hours every day for 5 days every week. So when you multiply this together, you would see that it is in fact $25,000 per week. Sorry. And that's the number that we're going to come up with. And the boss likes that. You're hired. Great job. That's an example of Fermi estimation.